If there was one band that I could choose to be immortal and never die and live forever, it would be the Avalanches. Because if they can give an album like this every 16 years,
the world will be a better place.
The world will be a better place for it. The Avalanches have released their second album in
finally
16 years. Their first was Since I Left You, which was my holy grail record that I found on my birthday this year. Original pressing. And the world's been waiting for their second album. And 16 years they were mostly silent.
And it's finally here.
Can they live up to the glory that is Since I Left You?
Very high expectations from everyone. Because, as you know, this album is gold.
Legendary. So, here's what we think after first impression. I've heard it like 5 times now. She's heard it once. But,
this is 4th of July weekend. He made me come out from the beach, listen to this to make this review. It was worth it. Let's go. Can I just start by giving out like a brief description of what I think this album feels like to me?
Sure.
It feels like if Looney Tunes lived in the real world and they had music in their world that like normal people would listen to, it would be this album.
It has a very cartoony vibe, especially in certain songs. It's very fun-loving, so I can agree with that. And it's goofy while still being like beautiful.
Yeah. And what I like about this, it's like food, where food brings everyone together. I feel like this album doesn't isolate people because it has so many genres. Mm-hmm. So I could totally sit down and listen to this with my mom, you know?
Yeah.
It's like...
It transcends an age barrier for like listening to music. It's accessible to literally anybody, which is impressive to do. There aren't many albums like that out at all. Because I'm Me is the first track after a short little intro that's just like, it's just fluff, and then it bursts into the album. And what I love about this opening track is that it conjures the exact same feel as the first track on the first Avalanches album, Since I Left You, the self-titled track, but it's so different at the same time. It's like, this is familiar, but wait, here's what you have in store. There's a lot more to come. And it has hip-hop on it, which is very cool. It's the same tropical, breezy feel as Since I Left You, and it's like your old friend's back. It's like it's like the coolest feeling. When I first heard it, my face was just like wide smile. Like I could not stop smiling because I was like, it's back. They're back. And I had no idea what to expect from the next hour. The other cool part about this album is that every song transitions into itself perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
It's one long song.
I would not recommend people to listen to this album separately or randomly.
Yeah, definitely sit down and give it a full listen. Frankie Sinatra is the first single they released in 16 years, and that's the second track, or I guess the third track on the album. And
Frank Sinatra.
it is the most infectious beat and just like the hook where they have that sample, and it has been in my head nonstop when I'm just like zoning out. I just hear Frankie Sinatra.
It will definitely be an earworm. It's, I think, the earworm of the album.
But it's so good. It has this bumping carnival beat that just like punches you in the face throughout the entire song.
It sounds like if Moulin Rouge went to the circus and then created the song.
It's cool because they got rappers on this. Starts off with Danny Brown and then MF Doom, which they have very different styles in rapping, but they almost like just dance around each other in this perfect way that they both syncopate with the beat. Just like, it's wonderful. It's disjointed while being very connected, if that makes any sense.
It makes total sense. And once you listen to it, you'll know what we're saying.
This is a really, really solid choice for a first single, and honestly, I liked it better being the transition into it from the first track, because they're so different, but it's all part of the same piece, so it's beautiful.
And then in the middle of the song, they freaking sampled Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what?
The samples, I mean, their first album is comprised of entirely samples, Plunderphonics, which is why it's so cool. This album, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out if it's all done the same way. I'm sure it's mostly samples, but they got a lot of cool features, which was new, and it worked really well and still kept their aesthetic, which is nice. After that, it transitions beautifully into Subways, which is maybe my favorite track on the album. I don't know. It's so hard to pick. Subways is the best Gorillaz song the Gorillaz never made. Because it sounds like it could have fit right in on Demon Days, which is one of my favorite albums, and it just has this like, with the vocals of the girl mixed with this like just like pulsing beat and this lush instrumentation behind it. It feels like Gorillaz, like the closest we have to new Gorillaz, which I love.
I love how visual the Avalanches make their
Avalanches.
Damn
it, Sandy!
I love how visual they make their albums sound without that many lyrics. It's just like, just the sound itself is so visual to me, and it's like, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. Would you say the sound's almost like lyrics?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. The sounds are totally lyrics.
Yeah, which is not an easy task at all.
Hard.
I said that Subways sounds like the soundtrack, or the song on a soundtrack where the hero walks into a club in heaven. Going Home is the next track, which is kind of a continuation of Subways. It bridges the gap between that and If I Was a Folk Star. And that track, you got Toro y Moi on the vocals, which comes in...
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, why do I know these people? Okay, cool.
And it's like 3/4 of the way through he comes in, so you think it's kind of just going to be this song, and then all of a sudden it changes at the end, but it's still so masterful. That's the only word I can use to describe this album. It's masterful.
My favorite part of this song is the last 5 seconds.
Yeah, all of it though. Like, the beat of this song is just like, it just drills you so hard, and it's just like such a groove. Like a very psychedelic kind of just like groove.
And that really transitions into Colors, which is the next, like, more psychedelic, heavy, Beatles-ish song.
Colors...
I think it might be my favorite.
Colors is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life. I think that it is shoegazy at times. Without the guitars necessarily, I feel like it has that kind of, like, lo-fi, but, like, really pretty thing that shoegaze has going on.
It's just...
And it's just, like, it's almost overwhelmingly pretty.
It's like... If tie-dye was a song, it'd be this song.
It's like if drowning was pleasurable.
What are you saying?
After being hit with so much beautiful, lush, overwhelming music,
they crack you up.
They crack you up. That's what they did on their first album with Frontier Psychiatrist. That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. He's crazy in the nut. That is the funny song of the album, and it works. It doesn't feel like you're like leaving the album. It makes perfect sense right where it is.
And I want to listen to the song every morning when I eat cereal.
And Biz Markie is the guy who raps on it. We got Biz Markie from Just a Friend fame killing it on the track with his hilarious rap about cereal and eating. This track is not only funny, it's just a really good sound. Sound wise, it fits in with the album, even though it's much more of a joke than the rest of it.
But it's still like clever and beautiful and cool. All I have to say about the next big song, which is Harmony, is that the title says it all. Yeah. Harmony.
It's like unifying your brain with your ears and your heart. It's just, I feel like I'm speaking like such a jackass about this album, but it's because this album is unlike anything I've ever heard in my entire life.
This review is just Matt fangirling, but he has a reason. I
have nothing bad to say about this album at all. After Harmony comes a medley of sorts, where it's just a bunch of kind of shorter tracks that are just, they transition into each other, and they're all really enjoyable to listen to. And that's what made me think, now I might lose some of you here, I apologize, don't think I'm crazy. If this isn't the modern version of, I think that this is a direct homage to Abbey Road. This entire album.
What do you mean?
I feel like it has the same kind of progression with this strong intro, a medley, and then this really strong outro. And lyrics from Come Together, which is the first track on Abbey Road. And it just has this feel of just that kind of importance to music, where Abbey Road is my favorite Beatles album. I think it's the best from a musical standpoint. And
that never popped into my head, and I want to re-listen to this album with that in mind.
I feel like, I want to believe they listened to Abbey Road a lot while making this album.
So in the Wozard of Is, I think I heard my favorite lyric of all time.
Which is,
I've been over the rainbow, and I felt nothing there but thin air.
You're such a goth.
No! Where do they get this from? Like, somewhere over the rainbow, and then they just, like, turn it into this beautiful, sad, poetic lyric. Like, oh.
Yeah, the song is very disorienting. Danny Brown has a really nice part on it, and then it kind of alternates from feeling like you're in Munchkin City, and then feeling like you're, like, in, like, a Dorothy song, like, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Like, it's, like, this contrast of this jarring and beautiful, and it's one of the more... It's probably the most interesting track on the album, and I want to listen to it more to, like, dig in more.
But it's, like, what are they saying here? Like, okay, you acquired fame, you did what, and then you were there and you didn't care about it? Like, that just applies to so many things in people's lives.
So the medley ends with this song called Over the Turnstiles, which is kind of like an imagery of, like, jumping over, you know, the barrier. And then Sunshine. It's right back to this strong intro we had and this really strong ending. It hits you again. Sunshine is like this super happy, positive, soulful, almost gospel at times song.
Yes.
I feel like Chance the Rapper would probably love that song.
I totally got that 70s vibe. I mean, on this whole album, but especially that part.
Yeah. Sunshine is just like, it's like you're back. It's like you missed it. Like, you loved what you were just hearing, but you missed that, like... It's overwhelming. This album is it's like heroin for your ears.
But the thing is, it's not too too much of a good thing where it kind of like zones you out or
No,
just
like James Blake's album's the same length roughly, and that was too similar. While it all was good, this was consistently changing and morphing. They struck the ultimate balance in an album that long. Again, like, I can't believe it.
I loved how after Sunshine, the first thing you hear is like Thunderstorm.
I didn't even notice that. Yeah?
Yes, yeah. In
Amazing.
Light Up, it's like, oh, funny.
This is the kind of album that you'll listen to 50 times and hear something new every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Kaleidoscope Lovers is such a great track. I feel like it's like the musical version of looking into a kaleidoscope.
Yep.
Because it's super disorienting, but it's like beautiful at the same time, and that's the whole album. Whole album is disorienting but beautiful, and you're like accepting of the kind of strangeness while still just appreciating it on such like a deep, like emotional level.
Are you about to cry?
No. I hope not. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. The album ends, sadly, because I didn't want it to end, with Saturday Night Inside, which was... what do you think about that track?
Honestly, when I was listening to that track, I was kind of just taking in the whole album and just being really happy about it. It was like a reflection type of song.
It's a really nice climax to the album.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not trying to be this like really epic final track.
It just ended.
But they have David Berman and Father John Misty doing like spoken word over it. And David Berman's from the band The Silver Jews, which I'm a huge fan of. And then Father John Misty is Father John Misty. I thought when I heard that they were going to be on the album, I thought that they would be singing, but they weren't, and I was okay with it. I thought that the album didn't need it. The features enhanced, but they weren't the feature even when they were being featured. You know what I mean? The album was the main course the entire time.
You know that feeling when you're on an escalator and then you just like get off, but you get off a little bit quick, but you're just like...
Yeah.
That's what I felt like
the
in
whole
music
time?
Terms. No, at the very end of the song.
Oh, I felt like
that
whole
song
time.
was just like... And then you just like walked off.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good ride.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's time for arbitrary scores.
Dun dun dun.
I'm gonna let you go first.
Of course.
Ladies
always.
first.
Ladies first. Well, in that case, I'm kidding. It's way up there, like a 9 point. I'm gonna say 8 or 7. 9.8 or 7.
Pick it. It's important. This arbitrary score is very important.
Okay, honestly, arbitrary score. I would pick a 9.8 because this is definitely a timeless album. It has everything ranging from like 40 sound to now. And I'm going to be able to play this with my family, with my friends, you know. I have trouble going in a car with people because I have really different tastes than everyone else. And I can put this on every single time and everyone will be happy. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about music. And that's what it did. So, I loved it.
I think that this album was made specifically for me. And I'll tell you why. I think it's because it took every genre that I love in music, you know. Shoegaze, down-tempo electronic, hip-hop, like these lush instrumental electronic beats. They took all of these and threw them in a blender and then poured it in a pan and baked it to perfection. This album, I'm scared, has ruined music for me moving forward because the bar's now set for music in general. They met my expectations and exceeded it. I think that after more listens, this album will be better than their first.
Yeah.
I give it a perfect 10. I gave Kanye's album a 10, and I still give it a 10. I think this is my album of the year thus far, though. And that to say that it beats Kanye, for me, is huge. I thought it was just hype. I was like, first time I heard it, I was like, it's a 10. Second time I heard it, I was like, it's still a 10. After time like 4, I'm like, you know, every time I hear more, I'm liking it just as much, if not more. This is the definition of a perfect album. These albums don't come by that often in life. They really don't.
Yeah.
And the Avalanches made us wait 16 years. It was worth it.
It was worth it. I think it might get there for me. I just have to listen to it a lot more.
I have the Vinyl Me Please Red exclusive pressing of the album coming, and I also have the Newberry Comics alternate cover. I'm glad that my faith in these guys panned out, and I'm really excited to have this record on vinyl.
So now we're really excited to hear what you have to say about this album. Was the hype worth it for you? Was the wait worth it for you? So let us know in the comments. We actually read all of them, and we love to read all of them.
And we try to respond to as many as possible, so go down and check to see if we responded to you if it doesn't tag you.
Yes, and these artists are amazing. Please support them, and, try to buy their albums. Tell all your friends, play this as much as possible because we want to support them as much as possible.
If you want to listen right now, it is streaming exclusively on Apple Music for the next couple days, and then after that it'll probably be on Spotify and everywhere for you to soak in and let it wash over you like the beautiful angel it is.
Yes, but try to buy the music.
And also buy it.
Yeah. Okay, well,
I'm Matt.
and I'm Sandy.
This is Damn It, Sandy.
And happy 4th of July.